And thanks for tuning in yet again, everybody. The reason why I'm casting this game, despite its display of my epic failure, at least on the offset, is just to showcase that although the 3v3 rush can be deadly, as I showed in my other 3v3 video, there is always a way to recover from everything. So without giving too much away, that's kind of where I'll leave it for now. So we've got Jet up here, Dana's the teal, and me as the blue. Our opponents, we've got a Protoss, a Terran, and another Terran. And I'll just kind of speed up the preliminaries here. Get my standard 2-gate in the choke. I like going 2-gate before my cybernetics core, just to make sure I get plenty of units out. Not really any action happening. He is going to start to build up some forces here, so I will slow things down a bit. You can see they're making their way over. And while I am somewhat prepared, should not be able to fight them off, I don't think. And at this point I am desperately calling for help in Ventrilo. Help me! For I am weak and meager. I think they start to send in some stuff here and kind of keep it going for a little while. As far as the support goes, I think Jed sends in a couple of these guys. But after a little bit, I just kind of call them off, because it becomes apparent that I'm going to lose my base here. It's always very disheartening when this starts to happen, but let's see if the three of us can pull it out. Dane very wisely walling things off there. I'm desperately trying to kill the last of those zealots, but there's just too many dudes. Lost many probes at this point, but I just kind of desperately try to get a few of them out. They do kind of get held up, and I believe I managed to get a few of them past these guys. And at that point, MRTS is just like, whatever, fuck this guy. He's going over to his buddy's base. I'm just gonna leave him alone. But then I'll do something very sneaky. Very sneaky. I set up another base down here, and in their attacks, they didn't really, they didn't really finish me off or try to scout me out, thinking I was going to try to make another base. I guess maybe they didn't think I'd have enough minerals to. But they just kind of leave a couple of my buildings, for a while anyway. They do go for the pylons, which is always the smart move. But in the meantime, Mr. Dane here is building up a force, and Jed is getting attacked as well, but he'll eventually, sorry about that, he'll eventually fight them off here. And Dane with the blink. That blink is so deadly against siege tanks. If you get within their range, they just can't handle it. But things still aren't looking good, right? Because we've got, pretty bad situation. Obviously we're building as many units as we can here, but I'm still rebuilding. Jed and Dane both have not been able to expand, although neither has our friends here. And they, I think they just kind of get complacent here. I mean, they're obviously still making units, but they don't really think that we have any realistic chance of pulling this out. So they're just going to kind of mosey along here. And here we just have, I don't know, he's going to probably be embarrassed, but our little Daney is very good at micro. he just totally took out that whole group without even losing a unit. Just gonna blink away again. Very disorienting. Now at this point I'm getting some minerals, and I am just funneling everything that I can into Dane because I see that he has 5 warp gates up and is in a position to possibly stage a little bit of comeback. And again, at this point I think that still realistically we don't anticipate winning, but we're going to do the best we can here. So like I said, I'm funneling resources through. He's managed to build up another little force here. And the key when you're trying to make a comeback like this is to not wall up. You got to keep them second guessing. You got to keep scouting those expansions, make sure they're not trying to grab any resources, because really what I would do if I were them is just expand, because if you can expand you could just literally guarantee victory. Of course he's blinking straight through at his leisure. Very confusing to me why Orange doesn't have more units at this point. Perhaps it more displays his crappiness than our skill, but still pretty awesome counterattack here. And then they decide to send on some reinforcements, and they're still making Marines. I think they still think that they'll be safe with just Marines. There are some Void Rays coming in, don't get me wrong, they're not that bad. But yeah, he is going to bring in some troops here, although Orange has been pretty crippled at this point, obviously. And Dane will wisely flee this battle with as many as he can. He leaves some guys behind in the hopes that he can save a few. And here I am. I got, you know, decent amount of guys here. I'm just going to keep on pumping resources into my allies. Now they've got a really good sized force here. And if I were them, I would try to do something with that. But, well, we're just a really tenacious and persistent little bunch. Oh Jed. Oh Jed with the Banshees. I think at this point I'm pleading to him and Ventrilo to use those on their mineral lines to great effect. But I think first we're going to try to help protect Dane here. Marines, Marines, Marines. Of course he doesn't have detection, and his Banshees are able to take out these guys. And that's, you know, really, obviously our opponents make some pretty critical mistakes here, but it just goes to show you that you really cannot get cocky, even if you think that you've taken out an opponent. Because by this point I'm pumping out some pretty decent resources. That's not the consumption, that's, yeah, here we go. Well, that's not it either. Yeah, here we go. So really, I mean, my income is better than the fully functional guys. And then he's, of course, at the bottom because we just took him out. But, I mean, that's a lot of income that I've got coming in. Granted, I start to build up a tiny bit of a force here, but at this point, I'm still just funneling all of that into... And I think I gave Jet a bunch of gas to get those Banshees out as well. And, oh, sorry, we're missing the fun. But Dane is back to work over here. We've got Banshees happening up here. I'm sure Orange is very frustrated at this point. Hopefully we've got them on a run a little bit, and I think that Yellow is going to say, you know what, I can still make something happen here. I can still kill these guys. Speed things up just a tad. Oh no, I gotta show this, yeah. Orange tries to get his base over and just gets picked off by the stalkers. And we have more stalkers. And the Banshees. So yeah, certainly not an example of my skill in StarCraft, but certainly a staggering effort on the part of the brothers Cohen. Yeah, blinking right through, destroying those rays. Rays really are not very powerful against the old stalkers, unless you've got either mass rays with fully charged prismatic beams, or some kind of ground support to help distract the stalkers. But yeah, and they left. I think purple's gonna start to be annoying here, but God, so many banshees. Yay, I've got 2 gateways. I did make another base for posterity. And at this point, we're sitting there in Ventrilo, breathing heavily, adrenaline coursing, and really just an overall sense of pat on the backedness, if that's a word. Yeah, the obligatory trash talking. I'm not a very nice man when I play games. Not at all. Well, anyway, that's a lesson learned. Just stick to your guns, guys. You can overcome the impossible. Thanks for watching.